Imagine discovering something so advanced that people wouldn't believe you for centuries. What if science had followed Al-Biruni's discoveries instead of ignoring them for 500 years? Did you know a Muslim scientist calculated the Earth's circumference 600 years before Columbus? What if I told you gravity wasn't first discovered by Newton, but by a scientist centuries earlier? How did one man measure the entire planet using just a mountain and shadows? Was the heliocentric model of the universe really a Western discovery? What if I told you a scientist in the 11th century questioned everything we believe about space? Could a medieval Muslim scholar have known the Earth rotates long before Galileo? Why do we credit Newton for gravity when a scientist in the 11th century wrote about it first? How did Al-Biruni predict the speed of light centuries before modern physics? Why is Al-Biruni called the father of Indology when he wasn't even from India? Al-Biruni, the genius of the Islamic Golden Age. In the 11th century, the Islamic world was a hub of knowledge, where scholars pushed the boundaries of science, mathematics, and astronomy. One such genius was Abu Rayhan al-Biruni, an extraordinary polymath whose work shaped the future of multiple scientific disciplines. Hello everyone, welcome to our channel Evolution of Ideas. Usually we discover the history and evolutions made by humans in different technologies, but today we discover the untold story of a genius who changed the future of science. I just read an article about him and see a lot of blunders in science that we know today, so without wasting time let's start our journey and discover the blunders. The birth of a genius. Abu Rayhan al-Biruni was born on September 4th, 973 AD, in Kath, Khwarezm, an area that is now part of modern-day Uzbekistan. Details about his parents and early family life are scarce, as historical records primarily focus on his scholarly achievements. Some sources suggest he hailed from a Persian family of Shiite Muslim faith, though his personal writings indicate he may not have been a practicing Muslim and possibly held agnostic views. Let's start with first question. 1. Imagine discovering something so advanced that people wouldn't believe you for centuries. This is exactly what happened to Al-Biruni. In the 11th century, he made calculations that accurately measured the Earth's circumference, proposed that the Earth rotates on its axis, and even hinted at the idea that the Earth might revolve around the Sun, centuries before Copernicus and Galileo. He also questioned the instantaneous travel of light, a concept that later became crucial in modern physics. Yet, his groundbreaking work was overlooked for hundreds of years. If his ideas had been taken seriously earlier, the scientific revolution might have started much sooner, changing the course of human history. 2. What if science had followed Al-Biruni's discoveries instead of ignoring them for 500 years? If the world had built upon Al-Biruni's knowledge, the history of science could have been drastically different. Newton's laws, space exploration, and even Einstein's theories might have been developed centuries earlier. Geography and navigation, European explorers wouldn't have debated the Earth's shape for so long. Maps and sea routes could have been more advanced, possibly leading to earlier global exploration. Astronomy. Instead of waiting for Copernicus and Galileo, humanity might have accepted the heliocentric model much sooner, leading to faster advancements in space science. Physics. His understanding of gravity and light could have inspired earlier breakthroughs in physics, possibly leading to earlier inventions of optical devices, telescopes, and even modern physics concepts. By ignoring Al-Biruni's genius, the world may have delayed scientific progress by centuries. Imagine where we'd be today if his ideas had shaped the world much earlier. 3. Did you know a Muslim scientist calculated the Earth's circumference 600 years before Columbus? Yes. That scientist was Al-Biruni, a Persian polymath of the 11th century. Using nothing but a mountain, shadows, and trigonometry, he devised a revolutionary method to measure the Earth's circumference, and his results were astonishingly accurate. Unlike the common belief that Columbus disproved the flat Earth theory, scholars like Al-Biruni already knew the Earth was a sphere centuries earlier. His calculation, based on the height of a mountain and the dip of the horizon, estimated the Earth's circumference to be about 39,775 kilometers, extremely close to modern measurements of 40,075 kilometers. While Europe was still debating Earth's shape, Al-Biruni had already solved the mystery 600 years before Columbus set sail. What if I told you gravity wasn't first discovered by Newton, but by a scientist centuries earlier? While Sir Isaac Newton is widely credited with formulating the law of universal gravitation in the 17th century, the concept of gravitational attraction was explored centuries earlier by the Persian polymath Al-Biruni. In the 11th century, Al-Biruni proposed that all objects are drawn toward the center of the Earth, laying the groundwork for the theory of gravity long before Newton's time. Al-Biruni's insights into gravitational forces were part of his broader contributions to physics and astronomy. He developed experimental methods to determine the density of substances, utilizing hydrostatic balances to measure specific gravities with remarkable precision. His work not only anticipated concepts that would later be mathematically formalized by Newton but also showcased a deep understanding of natural phenomena that was ahead of his era. Despite the significance of his findings, Al-Biruni's contributions were not widely recognized in the Western world until many centuries later. This oversight highlights the rich and often underappreciated history of scientific inquiry across different cultures and epochs. 5. How did one man measure the entire planet using just a mountain and shadows? In the 11th century, the Persian polymath Al-Biruni devised an ingenious method to measure Earth's circumference using a mountain and basic trigonometry. Here's how he accomplished this remarkable feat. 1. Selecting a mountain, Al-Biruni chose a tall mountain with a clear view of the horizon. 2. Measuring the mountain's height, he determined the mountain's height by observing angles from 2 points at its base and applying geometric calculations. 3. Observing the dip angle, climbing to the summit, Al-Biruni measured the angle between the horizontal plane and the line of sight to the horizon, known as the dip angle. He also criticized Ptolemy's model, questioning its accuracy and suggesting that future scientists should re-evaluate it based on observations. Al-Biruni's open-minded approach to science, relying on mathematics, experimentation, and observation, was far ahead of his time. If his ideas had been taken seriously earlier, our understanding of space could have advanced much faster. Why do we credit Newton for gravity when a scientist in the 11th century wrote about it first? Isaac Newton is famous for formulating the law of universal gravitation, but he wasn't the first to think about gravity. Centuries earlier, Al-Biruni had already explored the idea that objects are naturally attracted toward the center of the Earth. Al-Biruni described how all things are pulled toward the Earth's core, an idea that aligns with the modern concept of gravity. He even conducted experiments to measure the density of different substances, laying the groundwork for understanding mass and gravitational force. However, because his work was written in Arabic and largely unknown to European scholars, Newton's discoveries overshadowed his contributions. If history had acknowledged Al-Biruni's early insights, the theory of gravity might have been developed much earlier. How did Al-Biruni predict the speed of light centuries before modern physics? Al-Biruni was one of the earliest scientists to question whether light travels instantaneously or has a finite speed, a debate that continued until the 17th century. Through his studies of optics and astronomy, Al-Biruni suggested that light might take time to travel, just like sound. He understood that the movement of celestial bodies and light's interaction with objects could hint at its speed. Although he couldn't measure light's speed directly, his reasoning was remarkably advanced. It wasn't until 1676, when Ole Romer observed the motion of Jupiter's moons, that scientists confirmed light has a finite speed, but Al-Biruni had already raised the question 600 years earlier. Al-Biruni's contributions to solar and lunar eclipses. Al-Biruni made significant contributions to understanding and predicting solar and lunar eclipses. His deep knowledge of astronomy, mathematics, and trigonometry allowed him to explain these celestial events with remarkable accuracy. 1. Explanation of eclipses. Lunar eclipse. Al-Biruni correctly described that a lunar eclipse occurs when the Earth comes between the Sun and the Moon, casting a shadow on the Moon. Solar eclipse. He explained that a solar eclipse happens when the moon passes between the Earth and the Sun, blocking sunlight from reaching certain areas on Earth. Methods of prediction. Al-Biruni used advanced mathematical calculations to predict when and where an eclipse would occur. He relied on observing planetary motions, using trigonometry to calculate eclipse timings, determining the size of the Earth's shadow in a lunar eclipse. 3. Eclipse observations and critique of Ptolemaic astronomy. He recorded multiple eclipses and compared his observations to older astronomical models, such as those of Ptolemy. He criticized Ptolemaic astronomy, pointing out inconsistencies in its planetary motion models. So, what if the world had taken Al-Biruni's discoveries seriously centuries ago? Would we have reached the scientific revolution much earlier? Would Newton still be credited with gravity? And could our understanding of the universe have advanced faster if we had built on his ideas? Al-Biruni was more than just a scientist, he was a visionary who questioned everything. His insights into gravity, Earth's rotation, astronomy, and even the speed of light were centuries ahead of their time. Yet, history almost forgot him. But now, his legacy is being rediscovered. What other hidden geniuses have shaped our world without recognition? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more mind-blowing stories from history's greatest thinkers. See you in the next video.